Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth. And today I am here joined with Micheal Vonn. She is the Policy Director for the BC Civil Liberties Association. And, I think the Civil Liberties Association here in BC has been doing phenomenal work for the freedoms of Canadians. So I'm wondering, I want to talk to you today a little bit about the current state of freedom of speech in Canada. And we're currently in a post-C51 world. Where are we at with the state of freedom of speech, and how many, just how far have the civil liberties been eroded after C51's been introduced?
Well, it's a fascinating question, in part because nobody actually knows. So one of the things about C51, one of the many things, remembering that this is an omnibus national security bill, and so it touches just about every aspect of the national security landscape in Canada. When we're talking specifically about the Criminal Code speech provisions, we're looking at language that no Canadian has ever seen before. So we now have a provision, an amendment to the Criminal Code, that would criminalize the advocacy, even in private, not necessarily broadcast, of terrorism in general. That's the language, terrorism in general. There is not a lawyer in this country who can tell you what that means. So the point here is we have something that's on its face ordinary Canadians can't even grapple with. We are in a terrible place relative to freedom of expression at this time.
Well, a term like that seems so incredibly broad that it could be brushed upon anybody. And I think they're starting to... we're starting to see this. There's a number of cases recently. There's somebody in Toronto who may be facing charges for offending some feminists on Twitter. There was a man in Quebec who may be facing charges for saying something offensive to a police officer. Ezra Levant from Sun Media, like him or hate him, that's another story, but he was recently charged $80,000 for calling an organization crazy. This is kind of like a hate crimes or something here in Canada. I mean, how much freedom of speech do we have left here when people like that are being charged just for speaking their minds?
Well, again, when you say charge, there's a raft of different things going on. So we have a number of issues here. Some of them are civil liability. Our defamation laws have been used for slaps, strategic lawsuits against public participation since time immemorial. We have asked for anti-slap legislation that would allow you to fight back when big resources sues you for defamation on an incredibly spurious lawsuit, but runs your cash down because they can take you to court. That kind of tactic, again, is very common against environmentalists and others. So you have libel. You've got defamation, libel, slander. You've got all of those kinds of aspects in civil litigation. Then you've got either criminal jeopardy in terms of, again, C51 or hate speech provisions that could be either from the criminal code or not. What Ezra Levant is up on is something that has to do with his licensure as a lawyer. Right? So I can't remember exactly the phrase right now, but it's with the Human Rights Commission. And again, he's arguing I was making these comments as a journalist, not as a lawyer, et cetera, et cetera. So you look at these, all of a sudden, we're talking about 7 different laws. So it's not as if we have one pocket that we have deep problems with in terms of civil liberties and freedom of expression. They span the gamut, and we have a number of different remedies that we need to seek, so it's very hard to keep track. And beyond any of this, who gets charged, what happens, are there penalties in terms of consequences relative to finances, there's the chill. When people don't feel like they know what they can say, obviously we have a chill on expression.
Well, what are some of these remedies, or what are some of the things that the average Canadian can start thinking about if they want to try to affect change and get things back to the way they used to be, maybe in a pre-Bill C51 world? How do people get involved if they want to, see our freedom of speech survive here in Canada and not go down the road that it's going? What can people do?
I think a huge piece of what you can do is talk to people that you know that this is an actual concern, and tell people that this is a concern. British Columbia was one of the first provinces to have anti-slap legislation. It lasted about 8 minutes. it was repealed. Nobody even knew about it. Call on your elected officials and say, we care about this. We want anti-SLAPP legislation. I mean, here we are. We're a democratic country, and people are chilled. We hear this all the time. I'm afraid of demonstrating. I'm afraid of the surveillance. I'm afraid of being flagged as somehow this is going to be prejudicial to my life. Tell the people who you are making your elected representatives that these are your issues. That's what you do.
Yeah, that's it, folks. Now's the time to take a stand and just have your voice heard and get your message out there. So if we don't do it, our freedoms are soon going to be gone. So where can people learn more from you guys if they want to get involved with you?
BCCLA.org is our website, and we keep it fairly well stocked with blogs and news feeds up to the minute, and everything that you need to know about us is going to be right there.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Keep up the great work, and take care.
Terrific. Thank you.